Are you in any form of responsible or challenging role? If so, I'd like to encourage you to learn about relationship health and an I Matter approach. So, relationship health is something that we've not been talking about, but it's incredibly practical and interesting. But it does encourage us to shift some of our basic thinking in the direction of not just what's happening in individuals, but what's happening between individuals when challenges arise. So, I want to give you 5 key reasons why I think learning about relationship health and an I Matter approach is really going to help you in a challenging role. This could be a professional role, it could be a parent role, it could be something that you're doing in your community, it could be just as part of preparation, or it could be you're wanting to strengthen yourself because a situation that you're in currently is challenging. There are a lot of challenges in the world right now, aren't there? When we look around and we listen to the news, we feel like we're being beset by challenges. And there's a lot of things over which we feel we've not got very much control. But what understanding of relationship health will do and an I Matter approach will do is help you understand what you can do in the middle of those sorts of challenges, even when there's a lot of things that you can't control. So relationship health enables you to understand how the power of your own decision making, the power of your own choices is going to have an impact on this bigger picture. And through that process, actually, it's a very hopeful process, because instead of feeling completely helpless and hopeless, we can actually just focus on what's possible in our own zone of influence. But when we understand the theory and the science behind it, it's not just a sort of fantasy that this is going to make a difference. This is really going to make a difference. So the second thing is that though we've not really been talking about relationships as a central focus, particularly when we're thinking about adult and child mental health, I think that people are concluding from many directions that relationships are key to everything. So they're key to our adult-to-adult relationships, they're key to our adult-to-child relationships. But the reality is we haven't been given any preparation for that sort of understanding to date. And we enter into our partnerships, we enter into our parenting roles, we enter into work roles with very little opportunity to think about these issues, to think about the skills we might need or the issues that might arise and what we might need to navigate them. However, what's very exciting right now is that there is a science which we can equip ourselves with, which can be really highly transferable across all these different roles that we have. And once you've got a basic understanding, it doesn't take the challenges away. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have challenges. Indeed, you will probably continue to have challenges. But what it helps you to do is to navigate and position yourself within those situations so that it's not quite so overwhelming, and so that you can take the time that's needed to let things work through. Now, number 3 is, for sure, though relationships are a growing science, the fact is they're pretty complicated, and there are a lot of skills that we have to learn. If we want to be more confident in relationships, then actually gaining the skills, taking time to understand what the skills are, and then practicing the skills is something that really is going to stand us in good stead for when challenges arise. So just like going to the gym, we can talk about going to the gym, but it doesn't do anything for our muscles. And we can talk about relationship health, and it doesn't do anything for our relationships. But if we really want to make a difference, then we have to do something personally. That's the I Matter piece, that we have to take personal action in order to move things forward. Now, another 4th reason here is that preparation can really help you avoid common pitfalls. We know, when people who've studied relationships, that there are common places that relationships struggle. So whether that's in adult-to-adult relationships or in adult-to-child relationships, what we also know is that some of the things that happen in our adult-to-child relationships can have long-term impact. And therefore, for lots of reasons, for understanding what might have happened in our own lives, but also what's the part that we're playing in the lives of our children, then understanding what's actually happening can really help you to make sense of those situations, which can be very fast moving, very confusing. Everybody's got different opinions, and it can really help center you and ground you when you've got this understanding in your pocket. So the 5th thing I would say about relationship health and an I Matter approach is that it's universal. So I've said already, it helps for our adult-to-child, work-to-work relationships, thinking about what's going on in our community, making sense of what's happening in the news, as a way of making sense of common patterns, common experiences of being human. Relationship health helps us join up the dots. And as a result, it also helps us join up the dots when we're trying to navigate problem solving with other people, for example, partners or family members or people in our teams or in our communities. having some shared understanding of this common idea that has been overlooked, that we've not been talking about, could really help us take action to move things on in ways that are positive. So then finally, you hear me using the term an I Matter approach. So the I Matter approach refers to the I Matter framework. The I Matter framework is a way of drawing together the practical conclusions of decades of research evidence on the subject of relationships health. And it draws it together into a really practical format. But one of the key things it does is it really draws out the importance of you and your own role, what you're bringing into a situation that is positively or less positively impacting what's actually happening. And it's only as we become aware of this role that we're playing is that we can start to actually think about our choices, make sense of difficulties that have happened in the past, not just by blaming other people, but thinking about the role that we may have been playing. And that in its own turn brings along a lot of freedom. So I think that learning about relationship health and an I Matter approach can support you in your confidence for a wide range of roles. And indeed, it can help you feel much more confident and find it much more interesting when you understand relationship health. Everyday incidents, even those that are very challenging, once you get a little bit of a chance to step back from it, you get this incredible opportunity to reflect and make sense of the experience of being a human being, the experience of sometimes finding things incredibly difficult. Yeah, we all do. We all do. And even when we know quite a lot, we all have these moments when it all feels just a bit too overwhelming. But once we have this understanding, this allows us to bring compassionate understanding, not just for ourselves, but also for other people. And that creates a foundation which allows things to move on. So if any of those are interesting, please look for further information in the links below. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up directly to learn about the I Matter learning journey. And you can also inquire with your organisation about learning with help from them. So in sum, we spend years going off to school and we learn about English and maths, and we go off to college and we learn various technical skills. But to date, there's been very little emphasis on learning the skills for relationship health. But relationships and relationship health are everything. And when we understand more about what's happening, it can really help us to solve complex problems and make a difference. So I hope you'll think about joining us on that journey.